Hey, it's me, Joey Only, Caribou Weather Dude. On this YouTube channel, please hit like and subscribe if you would. I would appreciate that very much. Thank you very much. Okay, let's get on to talking about the weather. Everyone wants to know when it's going to snow, how much snow there's going to be, how cold it's going to get, when it's going to. So there is the first mass of Arctic air coming across the continent. This is true. In fact, it's significant. It's going all the way down to Texas. So it's going to be, we can see on this map here, looking 8 to 10 days out, we have expectations of colder air through most of the continent. You know that's going to cause all kinds of thunderstorm havoc down through the states. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about British Columbia. By that time, we're hoping that things will maybe, well, you know what, normalize at least for what we would call seasonal here by that time. So one thing I would say is that the ocean looks very, very warm. Look at that. Warm temperatures expected. Well, we know the oceans are exceedingly warm. They took in a lot of heat this year. So that's going to be driving a weather maker itself, right? So here's some maps, the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th. See that high pressure building there at the corner of BC. That's the Arctic air starting to come south. 26th, I'm just going to use this map to illustrate the very cold air moving across each day. 0-degree weather experienced in the following locations as you go 31st of October into November, November 2nd, sweeping right down the United States. That's going to cause havoc across a lot of this. Is the first Arctic outbreak is what it is. On the GFS map on the 21st of October, 22nd of October, 21st of October, on 22nd, we're going to start to see that air mass. The Arctic air is just kind of up here and it wants to work its way down. Wants to work its way down. 24th, boom. 25th, 26th. Now we see that jet stream really bending. You see that Arctic air reaching all the way down south. That's as far as this map goes. Look at here, some more GFS modeling. Isn't this really nice? This is for Saturday, 21st. You can see where that very cold Arctic air is up there and how miserably fast it wants to come south. On Sunday, working its way down. It's into Alberta now. Monday, boom, it's reaching across. We've already got high pressure in Ontario. It's going to kind of join up. Tuesday the 24th, bam, it's pushing down. BC now stuck in that high pressure. 1038, pretty high. 1040 up in the Yukon, pretty high. 1034, 1035 high pressure. That's sitting right down southeast BC. 1040 moves its way down. And it's now into Montana and places like that. 1040, wow, sitting cold. And you can see now we have this half the continent sitting pretty warm and half the continent sitting pretty cold. So this is going to be kind of a clash line here, you can imagine, for thunderstorms and things like that through the continental United States. And it's going to create snowstorms along this boundary for sure. And I'm sure as some of this moves through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday into BC, and we have that transition, we're going to see a little bit of that too. There's been a lot of consternation and debate as to how much snow goes where. When I first made my snow forecast video last week, or earlier this week, I guess, it had some alarming numbers. And even I said these numbers will probably change. And then they all dropped right off the map, and it was like no one was getting snow. And then some of my weather nerd friends were laughing, and then bam, it came back, and in different places slightly. And who's gonna get the snow? Well, we're gonna find that out in a minute. We're gonna try to do our best to find it at least. Look how far that cold air is reaching down now. By the 28th, going to be a chilly Halloween for a lot of people through Western Canada and Western United States. You can really see some of that stormy squall line that will probably, this is looking out further and further along the modeling. So, you know, are these exact locations of these things at that time? No, but this more or less will give us an idea how this is going to play out across the continent. We can see some pretty good thunderstorm lines. You can expect that this is classic setup. We have that up and down kind of flow going on in the jet stream, and that's, you know, pretty classic for the fall. That's not something that's that unusual, of course. The fall likes to dipsy doodle and do this and that. I think some years are worse than others, and this may be that kind of an example. So we may have that classic setup of cold air from Canada coming down and warm air from the Gulf of Mexico here, and making some really severe thunderstorms along that front. So you're going to have stories of snowstorms and stories of below zero temperatures, stories of tornadoes and severe thunderstorm outbreaks and things like that to the prairies as you head to Halloween, and into the sort of the prairies, into the Appalachian areas now as we head towards Halloween. And Texas going to get some good storms too, it looks like, too. So that air mass really taking over the entire continent. So that's what you call an Arctic air outbreak for sure. Look at that. High pressure all over North America by November 1st. November, and just a little bit of a kind of a gap along the east coast of the United States where I'm sure that's going to clash and cause some snowstorm stories as well. So these are the makeups for, and you see how that low sort of forms and is moving into Atlantic Canada and into the New England area of the United States, I guess you might call that. Sort of bounces up into Quebec. So, that's looking a long way out. Will these models change? Certainly. And finally, by the 5th, we're going to see some low pressure starting to try to develop. That's as far as this model goes. Have a look at rain accumulation now for the next, here's the next 3 days. Big time on the East Coast. Next 5 days, we start to see some rain accumulation on the west coast of British Columbia. And so we are talking about, into the next 10 days, an event where there may be rain, there may be snow, depending where you live in BC. Into the Maritimes, man, look at that. They're going to see some pretty big time rain out there over this weekend. So 103 millimeters on that south coast of Newfoundland. Wowzers. So that's the kind of stuff we're talking about. And, even parts of Nova Scotia, 55 millimeters of rain, 48. Up through northern Quebec, 55. Southern Quebec, 69 millimeters of rain. So some pretty big rainfall totals. And we'll look at new snow. New snow. Definitely some up there in the far north. Next 24 hours. A little bit there in northern BC, southern Yukon. Next 3 days. Looks like the northern Rockies into the Peace Country. So some of that comes through the weekend. Lots of snow up in the Arctic part of Canada. Next 5 days, new snow in the mountains of BC, most especially, and some of the higher country. Next 10 days, whoa, what's this? Okay, let's talk about it. So next 5 days, yes, some snow in and around Quesnel, maybe 5 to 10 centimeters over the next 3 days, right? Next 5 days, sorry. So that's looking into Tuesday and whatnot. So we got some periods of uncertainty in the forecast, probably still. But if we look to the next 10 days, we see where some of the snow is going to land. And looks like, wow, Revelstoke Mountains, those Columbia Mountains, big time snow in the Columbia Mountains, so 88 centimeters. Some of the highlands outside Quesnel, 19 centimeters. Maybe you'll see a little bit in Quesnel. So that remains to be seen. Williams Lake is saying no, but this is just one model. This is the ECMWF model, and it's got snow going across a wide swath of Western Canada, and this storm system sort of tracks into Northern Ontario and out. All the Southern Prairie is going to get some, probably in the next 10 days. But the GFS disagrees. GFS model says, well, maybe some in the North Rocky Mountains, a little bit northern BC, maybe in the Rocky Mountains, probably some in Alberta, 25 centimeters. Okay, that's possible. And maybe through a swath out and through the prairies and through Montana and South Dakota and places. And maybe a little bit, yes, so it's thinking maybe more so Washington State. So who's going to be right? Will there be snow? One thing you're going to have to understand is if you're going to be driving through the mountain passes in the next 10 days, your bald all-season tires aren't going to cut it. This model says, GFS model says it's already snowing up in northern BC right now. I'm going to go with the ECMWF because it's usually pretty conservative, but it's not conservative this time. This time it's the one saying, so it agrees with GFS that it's snowing right now in northern BC and northern Alberta and a little bit up in the Northwest Territories there, I guess, as well. So that's snow. Fort Nelson seeing 0 degrees tonight. And we can see those isobars are kind of bending around out there. And that snow is sort of following along that leading edge of it. You can see that cold's trying to reach down. So Peace region, prepare yourself for some snow. We got this big storm out there in the coast. It's an X factor. We'll see what it does in the coming days. How much snow it brings into where. Sunday afternoon looking largely pretty clear for BC, so that's nice, but I'm sure that's going to come with some cooler temperatures, and we're going to see below zero reaching down there Monday 2 a.m. Yeah, most of you, if you haven't got your crops ready for some frost, look at that. Northern BC already seeing some pretty cold, minus 18. So, wow, if you're anywhere in the Northern Rockies, Northern BC, minus 16, minus 17. Well, up in the Yukon, 24s. Yeah, we'll expect that. So this Arctic air, it's breaking out. Maybe in Southern BC, a little bit of double-digit numbers, but on Monday afternoon, but it's not looking good for you. Meanwhile, the Rocky Mountains are snowing at that time. A couple centimeters falling every hour or so. So you're trying to travel between Calgary and Kamloops, and you run into that. And now it's bending its way through the prairie. Look at that. So big time snowfall. That storm's going to work its way through the prairies into Saskatoon Tuesday afternoon. And that's when this next low that we were just looking at the X factor, it slams in on Tuesday morning, hitting Haida hard. That's going to be a wind event for sure. Coast mountains are starting to see the rain, snowfall blasting in. It's punching its way in now. It's trying to fight its way in against that cold air. The cold air is trying to fight its way down. Just happens to be going on at the same time. So that is going to bring heavy snow to the coast mountains, heavy rainfall to Vancouver Island, snowfall. So expect some Prince George, expect some Vernon Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday, between Tuesday late afternoon and Wednesday 4 p.m. And some of that's going to be a sloppy mix of precipitation. So if you look here, say we're Kamloops might be getting a little bit of rain, and Salmon Arm might get between the hills up there, and Salmon Arm be getting a sloppy mix of rain and snow, sleet and slush. But maybe in Pemberton it's actually snowing, but in Lillooet it's kind of a drizzle, or maybe not, and maybe it's just foggy and crappy. So these are the kind of conditions Tuesday, Wednesday we're looking at that are not ideal. This is a few days out. Exactly how it's going to play out, we don't really know that for sure. But the ECMWF thinks that this storm is going to land in this way, and that's why we're looking at this one, this model right now, not the GFS. GFS thinks the cold's going to make its way in harder. So do we have big time snow coming into BC and big time rain? Yeah, maybe. Big possibility. Prairie's definitely going to see several rounds of snow next week. So we're in that transition time now. Overnight lows below zero for a lot of BC. Maybe not in Vernon, but Williams Lake, Prince George, Fort St. John, definitely Terrace, probably. Snow on Thursday up north, maybe. Rainfall in the morning down south, probably. So that's what we can expect if this low works its way in the way it will, or probably would, so on and so forth. So this is kind of looking at the next week and all the fun that it could accomplish in our daily lives or work lives. Much of the week being a miserable, sloppy, crappy mess of ridiculous weather. Still Friday, parts of BC are still, look at that high pressure building though, look at that, -8, -5 Prince George. So some cold overnight temperatures, and taking some time during the daytime for it to actually warm up. So you might have days where it doesn't get above zero next week. And that cold air moving in. Calgary -17. Haha, you're going to get a good blast of the north, it looks like, next week. Maybe we're going to get a little bit spared. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Looks like be ready for cold nights, especially. I think that's all I've got to say for now. So anyways, have yourself a fine time. If you're new to my channel, please hit subscribe. Tell a friend. I'm trying to grow something here. I want to be more than actually I'm pretty happy. So come back if you want. Ciao.